Right, day two. Um, Hoping this gets easier. Hoping you know, my thoughts become a little bit clearer. Um, I mean, when you spend so much time, or in my experience, when you spend so much time writing and reading about various topics, um, you can feel a little bit overwhelmed. Basically, you know, long story short, is my background. And my research currently focuses on men's experiences of their bodies and their size. So men who are categorized as overweight and obese, um, how they experience their bodies, and how they experience sport and physical activity across the life course. So there are various issues, related to the body. I obviously yesterday or last video spoke about us living in a somatic society. So um, the body is often or considered a form of status. So the idea is that over history, um, fuck it, yeah. So one of the reasons why we live in a somatic society is, it is um, the body is a form of status. It's basically, used to accumulate other forms of capital, whether, sometimes economics. So, for example, sports or athletes who use their bodies in various ways to effectively achieve fame and money and status. Um, for others, things like, through the upper classes in particular, but thinness is a form of cultural, social, and physical capital. The idea is that, thin as in you are seen or assumed to be, more disciplined, more motivated, or judged to be having a better sort of moral character than if you were to be someone who carries more body fat. We often see this, when people talk about stigma or weight stigma, how, or how weight is spoken about in the media, when they talk about uh, fat people being lazy, fat people being greedy, so on and so forth. And I recently saw lots of people talking about, bringing back shame and kind of encouraging this sense of cruelness towards people based on size. So yeah, I mean, it's fundamentally in terms of the body. When we talk about, other ways, whether it's models using their looks, um, to try and kind of, again, for more economic capital. Um, and we live through our bodies. Our bodies are central to how we experience things. Some people will get, um, again, speaking to fatness, some people might be discriminated against based on their size for work jobs and denied and so on and so forth. So, we as a society, we are in some ways organized around our bodies, um, the way they look, the way they move, the way they feel, the way they, support us from day to day life. Um, and what's interesting now, for men in particular, whereas, in previous generations and over the years, particularly in the 20th century, where you've like got men could often accumulate capital in other ways. So, you might think through work and so on and so forth, they'll have more, um, through work, they can more economic capital, so more money. And this would obviously transfer to status. But nowadays, men are inherently becoming more aware or more image focused, um, particularly, with things like the growth of looks maxing, the obsession over, bodies, TRT, muscularity. I think, social media has played an influence there. If you look at kind of, there's a phrase within the fitness industry where, particularly around if you're a personal trainer or if you're a fitness coach or whatever, where your body is your business card, which is to kind of give an indication of, or a suggestion to people that you know what you're talking about, that and people will use their bodies as a form of status as a business card to, uh, get clients, to get people to buy into programs. I mean, this has been popular through Instagram for decades, really. How people would, flex and show off their muscularity, show off their leanness as a way to as a form of social proof, irrespective, of the challenges, whether that's economic, whether it's social, cultural, biological, so on and so forth. So it's kind of really interesting, and really complicated. I don't want to say complicated because some things are simple, but there are so many threads that kind of tie everything together, both through my work and what I speak about, and it's just fundamentally trying to make sense of it all in spoken form as opposed to written form, which is far easier. But the body is becoming so much more relevant, um, and like you could just speaking or think about Ozempic and the way that particularly in America where you've got like um, private clinics and private access to it, and how a lot of celebrities and wealthy people are using Ozempic, um, despite the fact that they're powerful drugs. Um, they've I mean, they're not silver bullets, but they are very strong drugs, and they're becoming more ubiquitous. Yeah, ubiquitous. Um, so yeah, that's about it really for now. I'm gonna think about this more, but sometimes thinking about it too much, you kind of just don't do anything and kind of get paralyzed. And I'm definitely guilty of that. I am definitely guilty, and of getting paralyzed or waffling on. And this is basically this video. But hopefully it'll change. We'll see.